So, hello once more to all who has joined just in the few last minutes. My name is Dmitry, and I'm one of the two persons who leading the IP protection department here at Group IB. And today I'm going to speak about trends in online brand abuse. So, about how fraudsters are using different tools and what methods do they implement to steal users and brands' money. So at Group IB, we have more than 16 already years of different experience in fighting against bad guys in the internet. And of course, we're trying to collect all the data gathered through this period under one roof. So we are trying to make a big data approach and to see more. So as soon as our threat intelligence department detects some schemes, as soon as our investigators are finishing some reports, visually collaborate all the data all together and try to analyze the behavior of a fraudster. So today we're going to speak about brand protection. At Group IB here, we're practicing anti-piracy, anti-counterfeiting, and anti-scam solutions. Today, I'm not going to talk about anti-piracy. Mostly, I want to focus on anti-scam. But of course, as the anti-counterfeiting solution is now growing rapidly, I would say that some infringements, some approaches, and some tools, of course, very often used by fraudsters, by counterfeiters too. So let's start with the attacks. I was thinking a lot how to present you the modern internet user, about his or her behavior, about his type of thinking, his type of doing some things on the internet. And it occurred to me that the best way is to give you an example of Alice in Wonderland. So if you remember, Alice was a small girl who was bored of her life as a child could be bored of his or her everyday life. And she was seeking for any interesting things which looked pretty cute, which could be probably awesome, probably interesting. And as soon as she saw the white rabbit, she decided to follow it because it was very cute, very white, and very interesting. And that's what happens to a modern internet user, because you in your everyday life, you use a lot of devices. You spend hours behind your laptop or your smartphone, and of course there are too many information from different sources which you are faced day by day. And as soon as you see something interesting, you probably would follow it and try to get understanding what it is. So let's speak about the behavior. At the very beginning, we have two entities, a company and a user. And they're trying to collaborate with each other. So company gives the offer, user gives money, and this chain works awesome. But as soon as the third entity appears, so the fraudster, user starts facing with two offers, and really he doesn't understand very well which one is the proper. And of course, if the fraudster is good enough, user probably could choose the offer from his side. And what happens next? Of course, money leaks to the fraudster. And the common approach is talking only about money. So as soon as a user spends money to a fraudster and blah, blah, blah. But the main point that a modern user, he has two endless resources. Sorry, not endless, of course. Two not endless resources, money and his time. So as soon as a user spends a lot of time to a fraudster, probably not money, but only time, he won't spend this time to the company. And if he won't spend money to the company. So the main problem is to fight, to win this fight for the user's interest, for the user's money, and for the user's time. And of course, it will make huge impact to the company, to the brand, and to like selling some products of this company. So we see here that a fraudster uses some, not like uses, but suggests some offer. But how does he do it? Let's talk about it. So on the right side, you can see a lot of different fraudulent tools which are used day by day by many fraudsters. As I mentioned, they could be used by counterfeiters. They can be used by like scammers, etc. I think all of the tools are well known for you, and of course, you know what is phishing, what are fake websites, what are fake social media accounts, etc. So today I'm going to speak about the methods. How do fraudsters monetize those tools? How do they try to earn money? How do they try to steal money from a company or from a user? You can see just the list of methods. Of course, you can just make a screenshot of this slide and probably save it to your future researchers. So our analysts decided to make a calculation around all our clients. So during this calculation, more than 400 of companies were analyzed. All of them from different industries, and here we can see the separation between phishing problems and other types of brand usage. Why do I like separate phishing from others? Because phishing is, of course, it's a fraudulent scheme. Of course, phishing is using your brand on a like fraudster's page, but the main point that this is very like well recognized by worldwide internet regulators like ICANN, like local internet service providers, etc. So there are some typical patterns which are considered to be phishing. So for example, what is phishing? Phishing is a fraudulent web portal copying the main page of your official website, using your brand, so abusing your brand, and of course collecting personal data, but not only like your name or surname. Of course, there should be maybe credit cards data, maybe your mobile phone number, maybe additional tweets, your email address. So at the whole, all this data should be collected just at this particular website. And what are the other types of brand usage, of brand abuse? Okay, it could be like everything else where just your brand is mentioned, but probably personal data of a user is not collected. And that's a huge deal. And I'll explain you why. So just for this slide, you can see that, for example, for banking industry, phishing is like more popular, probably infringement than other types of brand usage. For just industrial companies, their situation is just not the same, but phishing is the less problem, etc. But the biggest part of industries, as you can see, are facing with a lot of troubles, not from the side of phishing nowadays, but from the side of brand abuse. So let's move forward to the trends. And the first trend is, of course, number of phishing infringements are growing day by day, year by year. But if you compare the number of like the trend which is increasing with the trend of fraud which is increasing either, you will see that the number of fraud connected to their brand usage is growing more rapidly than the amount of phishing problems which are growing too. And the whole my presentation will explain you why it is happening so. So the second point, that fraudsters are becoming smarter and smarter, and brand abuse, brand usage on fraudulent pages is not now just a typical website, typical web portal where you can get an access to very easily. They use different approaches to make it much more difficult to hide all these problems from the brand owner eyes, from your law department's eyes, from our eyes, etc. For example, they use special approaches to detect your user agent, to detect your geolocation, etc. And now I'm going to tell you the example of how it works. So the common scheme looks like the same. So at the first step, of course, you need to attract traffic. Traffic attraction is made by different tools, by different approaches. Of course, it could be done by contextual advertisements, it could be done by SEO optimization, by some other things. But anyway, you, like a user, will face with a link which you will tap on, and then you will go through the journey, through an very interesting journey. So at the left corner of the slide, you can see that the link is not very popular one. So this is utarget.ru. There could be any other domain names or portals, but the point that you are facing with a website which you didn't know ever before. And after trying to get an access to this link, you will be redirected via a redirect path. So you will pass through a chain of links automatically, and the biggest problem at this stage is that your personal data would be collected. But here, by personal data, I mean not the data about your credit card or maybe your mobile phone number, etc. Some other more relevant data would be collected. For example, the country, your language, your browser user agent, some other stuff from cookies, from your search engine results, so your preferences in search, etc. And after that, there would be performed a special personal link with a personal access to the distant portal. And what would happen next? Then you would it happens in a few seconds. You can get an availability to detect this scheme. So it happens very fast. And at the very end stage, so at the third step, you will get to the survey, which would mention a brand for which you've been searching a couple of hours before. So it is relevant for you. You was searching for it, and of course, as soon as you get to this survey, you would be interested in it. So let's look at the particular link which was discovered by our analysts. So our analysts just got through the redirect path and got the link, the personal link. If you get a look at it, it looks rather huge, and probably not all of you guys will see something interesting here. Of course, probably you can see that this is Windows, maybe you will see an IP number, etc. But it often happens so, for example, on official web portals, when they collect your information about your system, about your IP address, it's just okay, quite okay. But like in Alice in Wonderland, if we don't see something, probably it is here with us. So like the Cheshire Cat. And let's look at the information marked red. The first one is DNS. DNS is not the domain name server, as you might think, but this is the name of the retail player, so a huge retail company selling some goods. For this company, our analyst was searching before he passed through this redirect path. Windows is the name of his operational system on his virtual computer. GARS Telecom is the name of the ICP, and IP is the IP address. Of course, we changed it, so just don't try to get an access to this one. But here was placed the original IP address of the computer from which this search was made. Okay, and now let's look at the next part of the link marked bold. So it is a special private key which was coded with base 64 and which was encoded by us. So here you can see that this key consists of a timestamp. So this is very interesting because this is a personal link which could be opened only from your computer, from your particular IP address, and in that particular moment. So if you try to get an access to this link, for example, a couple hours later, it won't be like available. So you will see that there are no content, or the page is unavailable or something. So it is performed only for you, only at that particular moment. And what is the trouble here? The trouble is you won't be able to detect this issue very easily, because you need to like emulate the computer, the movements of an original user, etc., and try to analyze the whole chain of redirects and try to analyze the end portal to which you are getting in. What about the chain of redirects? We tried to search more deeper and get a look on this particular link with our threat intelligence portal, and we detected a huge chain of really affiliated websites which were registered by the same guy. All these portals are involved in the chain of redirects. Not all of them are involved at the same moment, so sometimes the chain could consist of 3 or of 10 web portals, but all of them could be potentially used for just this chain. And as for the real life, so that research was made by our analysts. And what about the real life? We had an example from our Singapore office. So our guys detected a fraudulent scheme targeted to the clients of a huge telecom operator, M1, based in Singapore. And on the screenshot, you can see the full redirect path, which happened to our analysts in Singapore. And you can see that users of this telecom operator who try to get an access to the piratebay.cc, I will suggest you not to try getting access to piracy web portals. It always leads to some bad result. But all these guys tried, and it occurred a failure. They were led through the redirect path and get to an end portal saying, hey guys, you can win a Samsung Galaxy S10 or Apple iPhone XS, just finishing the survey on this page. If you think that not so many users will use this survey, not so many of users will finish it. You can see at the number of users which visited this page per day. So there were more than 13,000 of users per day. This is a huge amount, really huge amount. And our guys talked to the M1 and they answered that, our clients, a lot of our clients went to our tech guys saying, hey, I've lost my money, hey, I've lost my data, etc., asking for help. So this is the scheme which could not be so easily detected by the M1. And let's now talk about traffic, because the second point, which is very important in fighting against fraudsters, is the traffic attraction. If you remember that in Alice in Wonderland, as soon as Alice got in a chase after the rabbit, she fell down in a rabbit hole. And this rabbit hole is like the traffic channel which was leading her to some distant places. So the traffic attraction tools, of course, all of them are well known too, and of course, all of you know what are the tools. This is spam mailing, this is different types of advertising, this is different types of promotion on social media, optimization in search engines, etc. Here I would like mention again the calculation of our analysts. You can make a screenshot and look at it during your coffee break, because it is very interesting to analyze which type of traffic attraction is more relevant for different industries. At this particular moment, I wouldn't focus on this slide, so let's move forward. And what is the second trend of this big scheme? The second trend is phishing is not the king anymore. That's what I mentioned at the very beginning of my presentation. And here I should say that fraudsters, of course they are becoming, but they have already become smarter. And if before all scam was made on just one portal, now they are trying to separate the scheme to different branches, to different portals, to different websites, to different like mobile applications, social network groups, etc. And now it is growing and growing and growing very rapidly, and you just need to make more deeds to detect the whole scheme. So let's talk about this scheme. What is it? How does it work like? Here I should mention that on the left side you can see a typical traffic attraction scheme, but you shouldn't think that a modern fraudster uses only one particular branch of this scheme. The trend is the guy, the fraudulent guy, the fraudster, he uses all the branches at the same time. So he tries to attract traffic from different ways, from different social networks, using different types of advertisements and different ways of getting your attraction. For example, here you can see an example of Instagram account saying, hey, we're having a giveaway, last chance for a popular brand. And here I should say that we detected, by just one guy, we detected more than 20 different posts via Instagram from different accounts using different popular brands, not only like retail, but it could be anything else. Of course, it could be really technical companies. after using these traffic attraction via, for example, Instagram, the bad guy inserts a link to a survey. Sometimes it is inserted into the post. Sometimes it is mentioned in the first comment below the picture. So it doesn't matter how, but he just mentions this link, and people are coming to this end portal. Sometimes these guys use traffic attraction via messengers, and of course they are asking you to make a mailing through WhatsApp or Telegram or Viber. Of course they're trying to make you a chain, to make you a person who attracts traffic for them. At the very end of this survey, so as soon as you finish it, as soon as you answer all the questions, they won't ask you for personal data. They ask you only for leaving your email to just send you the information about the giveaway or about the discount, so the personal code or something. So something in which you are very interested in. And some of you guys will think that, hey, I'm just leaving here an email. What is the trouble? It's just an email. I'm leaving it every day on different pages and nothing bad happened to me before. But as soon as you leave it, you will get a special letter. Sometimes it is made like a phishing letter, but day by day they're trying to use not phishing because it is blocked by for example, Google Mail, Yahoo Mail, etc. So they send you just an original email with a link. And of course, you can get to the distant link via contextual advertisements. So as soon as you get that link, as soon as you pushed it, and as soon as you tried to get an access to it, you just fell down the rabbit hole. And as soon you did it, nobody will understand where are you going to be in like 10 minutes, in 2 minutes. So the end of this rabbit hole is unknown. Why? Because you will get to the phishing resource, but this phishing resource would not use any brands. And that's a problem, that's a trouble. Because all huge companies who has their law departments, who has special cybersecurity analysts, of course, they are trying to search for brand usage. Of course, they're trying to detect phishing websites, but you won't ever detect this one because it is not affiliated with your brand. It does not abuse your brand. So on the left side, you can see that the traffic attraction scheme really uses your brand, but the attacking scheme does not. And as soon as you get to this phishing resource, you will lose some data, money, etc. It like works very the same as original phishing web portal. And you can see that this is like the follow the white rabbit scheme. So on the left side of the slide is the white rabbit, which you are trying to catch, which you are chasing after. And on the right side is the rabbit hole. And if you get to this rabbit hole, nobody knows what will happen next. So that was the fraudulent scheme. Sorry, this is the fraudulent scheme which works day by day. And the biggest point that I should mention here that all of you guys, of course, are trying to deal with the left part. So as soon as you detect a lot of infringements via Instagram, via Facebook, via some other social networks, probably contextual advertisements, maybe in search engine results, you are trying to delete all this stuff, and at the end of each month, you see a lot of reports saying, hey guys, we deleted all of these issues. Wonderful. But what should I say? Just think about the right part. if you deleted the left one, have you ever searched for the right one? Because if you haven't, probably the fight is not like finished. So you need not only to delete the like brand abusing advertisements or posts or something which are like shown at the left part, but you should proceed the whole scheme. You should analyze it, and you should delete the right part, because the right part is the core part of this scheme overall. If you, as soon as you delete the phishing resource which is located at the right part, you will kill the scheme. But if you delete only one leaf, only one branch at the left part, nothing happens. So let's now talk about damage. Damage from different infringements which are located in World Wide Web is a huge deal. So there are a lot of ways to calculate the damage. All companies are trying to understand the loss of different fraudsters, attacks, etc. So we decided to make a common approach of calculation of a fraudster's revenue. Why this is a common approach? So very often different specialists use the first one. So the first approach is calculation of losses resulting from given violations. So you detected like 100 of violations or 1,000 of violations, and you are trying to make any calculations in regards to this number. And the second approach is trying to calculate the fraudster's profit based on a brand's popularity. Of course, as soon as your brand rather huge or not, as soon as your brand is like from one industry or from another industry, the second approach will show you different amount of revenue of fraudsters revenue, different amount of your losses, etc. But the main problem that the first approach, which is very often used separately from the second one, could not tell you the right number. And the second one, which is very often used separately from the first one, could not tell you the proper number of like revenue. And of course, you need to take them, to cross over them, and to think all together, to calculate the first one, to calculate the second one, and overall, you will see the whole picture. And this picture will include the popularity of your brand and the amount of violations found. So, the rest of the damage calculation techniques should be probably discussed in a separate webinar, really webinar, because there are a lot of information to discuss. But what can I say just at the moment? If you are interested in this scheme, just don't hesitate to contact us, and probably we will schedule another webinar. And of course, if you wish, we can calculate the fraudster's revenue for your brand, for your violations, according to the popularity of your brand. So just tell us and we will do it. And of course, again, about our analysts who has calculated some fraudster's revenue for different industries. And again, I suggest you making a screenshot and having a look at this slide after the webinar. So there are a lot of numbers, and if you have any questions in regards to this slide, of course, I would be happy to answer them. And what about the real life again? So the damage, the impact, which is made by fraudsters using the big scheme of fraud which was mentioned during this webinar. Is this scheme very popular? Is this scheme rather huge? Does this scheme give a lot of money to a fraudster? And I would say yes. So we detected, and I think it's not like the proper way to say an interesting, but we did just detected a group of fraudsters who is practicing this scheme since 2017. So for at least 2 years. And the biggest part we detected is connected to Italian and Spanish users. And during this scheme, more than 100 brands were involved into the process of traffic attracting. But now we can see some parts of this scheme trying to attract users in Russia, in Singapore, in Germany, and in USA. So these guys are working for at least 2 years, and they are just trying to attract more and more people. And if you are interested in this material, just tell me, and I will send a link to social media about this topic. And as soon as we finish our investigation, of course, we will be happy to share the results. But the point is, this big scheme which I mentioned, which I just described during this webinar, is used for at least 2 years by a huge group of cybercriminals, and it could be targeted on just each brand. And all of you guys need to think about this problem, about this issue. So that's everything that I wanted to tell you about today, and I would be happy to answer your questions. So please text me via messengers in the GoToWebinar panel, and I will answer them. So I will keep quiet for just 2 or 3 minutes, and then I will start answering questions. Thank you. So guys, thank you for your questions. And the first question is about this presentation, if we could share it, and about the scheme. I think we will make a leaflet with this scheme, with the details about this scheme, and we will send it to you, to all of you. And if you wish, we can send the video of this webinar directly. Just tell us, and we will do it. Okay. So a question about revenue, fraudsters revenue calculation. How can we make a discussion about this topic? It's not a problem. Just again, send me a letter, and we will have a call or probably a conversation in the email. And we have a leaflet in regards to the calculation of this topic. So if you wish, we can send it to you. Yes, of course we will. Of course we will share the final report about the Lotse group as soon as we finish it. And sorry, no, I could not say, I could not mention any time frames for the end of this investigation as of now. Just keep patient, and we will send the information to you as soon as we finish it. So I will, if you wish, I will wait for a couple of questions more, and then we will finish the webinar. Thank you. Yes, of course, it could be. So sorry, the question is whether this scheme could be called the White Rabbit scheme. Yes, it could be called, and that's why I was explaining the Alice in Wonderland stuff to you guys during the webinar. So thank you so much for your interest. Thank you so much for your time, and I will be happy to see you on further webinars, and I will be happy to have a lot of discussions with you in the email or via personal meetings, etc. So thank you all, and bye-bye. Have a great day.